Have you ever wondered why we pronounce this word as even, this word as ever, and this word as event? They all start with a similar spelling, so why is the E pronounced differently in each one? Is there any rule about how to pronounce E at the beginning of words? Well, stay tuned and we'll explore this topic. Hi, I'm Lori from Pronunciation Pro and CommuniClinic. In each of my videos, I provide just a snippet of information about American English pronunciation. A snippet is a small amount of something, so each video just deals with one little aspect of pronunciation to give you a chance to focus on one thing that maybe you didn't know, or maybe you just needed to have explained to you in a different way. By the way, this video is going to be a little longer than most of my videos because it takes some time to explain this topic. So one of my viewers requested a video on how to pronounce the letter E at the beginning of words. He noticed that we have several different pronunciations, and it's usually not super clear from the spelling which one should be used. I did a lot of research on this, and sure enough, there are no hard and fast rules about the pronunciation of E at the beginning of words, but there are some patterns that I noticed based on the rhythm of the word. Being familiar with those patterns might help you to better hear the sounds that native speakers are using when they say these words. If you've watched my previous videos, you already know that when it comes to vowel sounds, I'm a big proponent of training your ears to hear the sounds that native speakers are using, rather than trying to develop a rule system for how to pronounce them. There are three reasons for this. One, we have way too many words in English that are exceptions to the rules. Two, a reliance on rules usually translates to a reliance on spelling, which is going to lead you astray a lot of the time in English due to the fact that each vowel sound has numerous different spellings. So, your ears are your superpower when it comes to English vowels. And the third reason is that for some pronunciations, like the initial E, there simply aren't any reliable, straightforward rules because English has borrowed so many words from other languages and has also changed a lot over time. All right, let's talk about the three main pronunciations that are used for initial E in English. They are the long E, as in even, the short E, as in ever, and the schwa vowel, as in event. There are also some vocalic R sounds, which you'll find in words like ear, early, earn, earth, and ergonomic, but we're not going to address those in this video because those don't seem to cause as much confusion as the other three sounds do. So again, the main three sounds used for initial E are the long E, the short E, and the schwa vowel, Now it's time to talk about those patterns that I mentioned earlier, which can actually help us to determine what initial vowel sound is being used by a native speaker. The first pattern is the stressed initial E. If a word starts with E and the first syllable is the stressed syllable, then that E will be pronounced either E or E, but never with the schwa vowel, because we only use the schwa vowel in an unstressed syllable. Hopefully your ears can hear the difference between E and E. For instance, even versus ever. One other helpful tip is that EX at the beginning of a word will always receive the short E pronunciation if it's in the stressed syllable, as in extra or expert. And it will be pronounced with a short E or a short I sound if it's in the unstressed syllable, as in exceed or exceed, exam or exam, exist or exist, and explain or explain. You'll hear native speakers using both of these short vowel sounds when EX occurs in the unstressed syllable. The next pattern is when the initial E is in an unstressed syllable right before a stressed syllable. In this case, the safest pronunciation to use is the schwa vowel. You will hear some native speakers use a long E or a short E for some of these words, but it's completely acceptable to use a schwa vowel when that initial E falls in the unstressed syllable, and that takes all the guesswork out of it for you. For example, some native speakers pronounce this word as enormous, and some say enormous, using the schwa vowel instead of the long E. Either one is acceptable. And some native speakers pronounce this word as estate with the E vowel, but it's also completely okay to say estate with the schwa vowel. So, if you want a general rule that can be followed in all situations where the initial E falls in an unstressed syllable right before a stressed syllable, just use the schwa vowel and you'll be fine. The last thing I want to mention is that certain suffixes can actually change the pronunciation of a vowel in the root word. For example, this word can be pronounced economy or economy, but I would recommend using the second one, the schwa vowel, just because it's easier to simply follow our rule that we mentioned a few minutes ago about initial E in the unstressed syllable right before a stressed syllable. So, economy. However, if we change the ending of this word to the suffix ic, it's now pronounced economic with the short E sound at the beginning. The stress pattern changed because of that suffix, and now the initial E is no longer occurring right next to the stressed syllable, so we can't use the schwa vowel anymore. There aren't a huge number of words that do this, thankfully, but some suffixes do change the stress pattern and therefore affect the vowel pronunciation. So do be aware of that and listen carefully to the vowel changes used by native speakers as the root word changes when different suffixes are added to it. Okay, let's recap our basic patterns. There are two main ones. Number one, if the initial E falls in the stressed syllable, it will be pronounced as E or E, but never with the schwa vowel. Number two, if the initial E is in an unstressed syllable right before the stressed syllable, the easiest strategy is to use the schwa vowel. So now let's practice some sentences using initial E words. I'm going to say each one kind of slowly so you can clearly hear which vowel sound I'm using on each one of them. Make sure to hit the pause button after each one and try to repeat the sentence with exactly the same sounds that I used. Ready? Let's do it. I don't have the energy to attend that event this evening. Can you estimate what her entire estate is worth? It has not been easy to establish an effective program. With the extra deliveries, we now have enough food for each person. It is essential that we train every employee in emergency procedures. In his email, he will encourage them to vote in the election. The evil empire will eventually be defeated. We have an excellent plan for eliminating electrical outages. The prisoner was eager to escape from the enemy camp. The main element we want to emphasize is our new equipment. Well, now you have some strategies for how to pronounce the letter E when it occurs at the beginning of a word. Remember to work on training your ears to hear the sounds that native speakers are using, but these patterns should help to guide you a bit in that process. Also remember that sometimes native speakers prefer to use an E or an E sound when they could use a schwa vowel because the initial E is occurring in that unstressed syllable. In that case, either pronunciation is okay. Well, hopefully you found this video to be helpful. If so, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. There will be many more videos in the future. In the meantime, happy practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.